y'all, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome here if you are new. My name is Kirsty, and in today's video I am bringing you two recipes that are both stuffed. The first recipe that we are making is stuffed bell peppers. For these stuffed peppers, of course, you're going to need some bell peppers. I'm going to use these colored ones that are yellow, red, and orange. And to go in those, we're going to have some diced onion. I'm using ground deer meat. You can use ground beef, you could use ground turkey, ground pork. I think any of those would be really good. We're going to use some mushrooms, corn. I'm going to make some rice in my Instant Pot, and of course some good old mozzarella cheese. If y'all have never seen me make my rice in my Instant Pot, I have a video where I gave like a step-by-step on how to do that, so I will link that down in the description box below. I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 degrees. So I wanted to go ahead and get my peppers in the oven pretty soon, because I want those to kind of like what you would call like a pre-bake, and so that way they'll be almost nearly done whenever we get the stuffing mixture done too. And when we put them back in there, really all you're going to need is to melt the cheese. But the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to cut the top of this pepper off right here. And I'm going to cut the core out, just like that. And then I'm just going to pull it out. And then it'll be empty like that, and it's ready for stuffing. So now I got my baking dish out. We're just going to take our peppers and line them in here just like this. And I might actually need 2 baking dishes just because I'm going to make a bunch. So just in this one I was able to fit 6, and then I'm going to get a smaller one and put those orange peppers in it. Alright, so I got them all in these dishes, so we're going to go ahead and put those in the oven, and we're going to bake them for maybe about 20 to 25 minutes. Basically we just want to go ahead and get all the stuffing mixture done, and then we'll take these back out. So I have my skillet on a medium heat, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of chop this deer meat up. And like I said earlier, you don't have to use deer meat. That's just what we have. Like you can use ground beef, ground turkey, any of that would be really good. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of dice this up, and then we're going to dice up our onion, and we're going to add this in, or we're going to add the onion in as well. Something else that you might like to do is I like to take the top of the bell pepper that we just cut off, and I'm going to go ahead and dice that up into small pieces, and we're going to add that into the mixture as well. I'm going to go ahead and add in that onion and some bell pepper. And then we're just going to let this cook together, wait till some of those vegetables get soft. All the pink is cooked out of the meat. And then I'll probably go ahead and add in that corn and the mushrooms. At this time, I'm also going to go ahead and add in a few seasonings. I'm going to add in a couple dashes of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and a little bit of this Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. Now that our meat is pretty much done, I don't see any more pink left, we're going to go ahead and add in our can of corn, and I did drain both of these. We're going to add in the corn and the mushrooms. Then we're just going to stir that around and let it cook a little bit longer, just until those vegetables get warmed through. All right, it's been a few minutes, so I'm now going to go ahead and add in my rice. And we're going to add in a couple handfuls of mozzarella cheese. Just going to kind of stir all this, that way the cheese and the rice gets all incorporated. And then we'll be about ready to stuff our peppers. So I got my peppers out of the oven. It is time to stuff them. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to take your mixture and you're going to stuff as much as you possibly can into each pepper. Now that we have all the peppers stuffed, we're going to go ahead and top them with some more mozzarella cheese. And we like a lot of cheese, so I'm going to top ours with a lot. And that is what we're having for dinner tonight, stuffed bell peppers. For the second recipe, we are making stuffed steaks and stuffed mushrooms. So of course we have our steak here. This is New York strip steak, and what we did was we had our meat department cut them really thin, so that way when we rolled them up, they would cook pretty quickly. And to go in them, we're gonna have some diced bell pepper, we're gonna dice up that onion, we're going to use some basil, parsley, some red pepper flakes, and then we're going to stuff it also with some mozzarella cheese. To go alongside of this and to kind of stick with the same theme, I'm going to show you how I make my stuffed mushrooms. They're super simple and really easy. What I do is I just get these baby portabella mushrooms, and you take the stick out and you stuff like cream cheese, and I'll probably put a seasoning or something inside that. But since I'm going to be taking the stick out of the mushroom, I'm also going to put some mushroom in the stuffing for the steak. So let's go ahead and get started. So in my skillet, I'm going to go ahead and turn my stove onto a medium heat, and I'm just going to melt about a tablespoon and a half of butter, and then we're going to put our veggies in here. While we wait on our butter to melt, I'm going to go ahead and dice up this onion. Now that that butter has melted, I'm going to go ahead and add in my onion and these diced bell peppers. And we're just going to let that sit there and saute for a few minutes. I'm also going to go ahead and add in about a tablespoon of minced garlic. While those are sauteing, I need to go ahead and get these taken out of the mushrooms so we can dice those up and put with the peppers and onions. After chopping up these little mushroom stems, I went ahead and rinsed them off, so now I'm just going to add them to our peppers and our onions. Right now I'm going to go ahead and add in some of these seasonings. Like I'm going to add in these red pepper flakes. We're going to add in some dried parsley flakes. And then we're going to add in some dried basil leaves. Alright, and then we're just going to kind of stir that all together. Then I'm going to put the lid back on here and let these onions and these peppers get soft along with the mushrooms. And then once these are done and they're soft, we'll go ahead and start stuffing the steak. I'm going to get started on these stuffed mushrooms. And what I do is I just have a damp paper towel here and I'm just going to kind of wipe these off. The way I do my stuffed mushrooms, it's pretty simple and I use minimal ingredients. I just have my block of cream cheese here, I have a spoon and my mushrooms, and what I do is I just get a little bit here on the spoon and I scoop it in there and just kind of press it inside, and then I set it to the side. And we're just going to keep doing that until all of these have been stuffed with cream cheese, and then I'll show you the next thing I do. After you get all of your mushrooms stuffed with that cream cheese, what I do is I just move it over here to this little baking pan. I think this is just a little 8x8 pan, and for me this works perfectly. You can use just a regular baking dish. That would be fine too. I've used that before, but it kind of looks like the amount of mushrooms I have should fit in here. And so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And then we're going to season these just a little bit more. Alright, there we go. That was perfect. Alright, so I'm going to season these a little bit with just some black pepper. You just kind of drizzle or sprinkle it on top. And then after you do that, you're going to take your mozzarella cheese and you're just going to sprinkle it on top of each mushroom. And of course it'll get down on the bottom and on the sides, and that's okay. But you just want a lot of cheese right there on top and it'll melt perfectly. There was this little Chinese restaurant that we had that was probably like 20 miles from where we live right now. But when we lived in town, it was like 10 minutes, and they had stuffed mushrooms. And now mine don't taste just like theirs, but it kind of takes away that craving when you crave the stuffed mushrooms. But these are really, really good. And then once we get all of our mozzarella cheese on top of all these mushrooms, we're going to bake them in the oven. And you're only baking them from probably like 10 to 15 minutes. I'm not sure if I ever actually put a timer on. You just want to keep an eye on it, and once all that cheese has melted and it starts getting really bubbly, it's ready. I do have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. So now that I got all that cheese on top, we're going to go ahead and add it into the oven. Alright, now it's time to stuff the steaks. So what I'm going to do is I have my steak laid out. I'm going to take some of this bell pepper, onion, and mushroom mixture. I'm just going to kind of put it right there. Going to take some mozzarella cheese, put it in there, maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to take this end and we're going to gently roll it. Just like that. And I do have some of this like butcher twine. And we're going to go ahead and tie this up on each side. I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take this twine and kind of shimmy it underneath. And then we're going to come up here and we're just going to tie a small little knot. I don't get it too tight, but you do want it tight because you don't want it to fall off. And I just tie a little knot. Now I'm going to come to this side and I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to shimmy it underneath. And we're going to tie a knot. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut this extra twine off. Alright, there you go. I'm just going to go ahead and repeat that process for all the steaks. I went ahead and melted some more butter in my skillet. So now I'm just going to take my steaks, and my heat's on a medium-ish, and we're just going to go ahead and stick our steaks in here. And we're going to cook them for a few minutes on each side, just until they're done. Now with my steaks, they're not going to take that long, just because my steak is pretty thin. So the timing's really just going to depend on how thick your steak is. So with mine, since it is thin, I'm going to keep a really close eye on this. And that is what's for dinner tonight. Stuffed steak, stuffed mushrooms, and a side of green beans. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me in the kitchen today. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Leave me a comment down below if you have any stuffed recipes, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!